everyone, I'm Rudrani and welcome to Zoom Speak Easy. My guest today is so talented. An actor who refuses to be boxed and is picking up roles that are so crazy and so different from one another. What else do you want? I'm of course talking about Ishaan Khatter. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you for having me, Rudrani.
But I truly mean it. Very interesting choices. Of course, Pippa has just released. You all must go and watch it. And then, of course, you had movies like Phone Booth. Absolutely bizarre, crazy. And then, of course, you started your career with Beyond the Clouds. You had promised in the beginning, I remember when we had spoken for Dharak, that I just want to really act and not really figure out what being a star is. I think you're really proving that.
Well, I mean, that's obviously what we're here to do. That's the job, having said that, being a star enables you to make the choices that, that will allow you to express yourself, hopefully in the best way. It empowers you to make, choices that otherwise maybe you wouldn't. So I'm not at all straying away from that. But that is my fascination, that is my love, that is my passion, to be able to have a certain diversity and versatility in one's roster. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I've been lucky to get the opportunities I did. Pippa is a very special film. I'm very happy we're here talking about it, and it's only been out for a few days, but the reaction's been truly unique and overwhelming, and I think it's fitting because it's a unique film. So.
What's also interesting is you're not looking for validation, but of course, when you get it, it feels great, right?
It's lovely.
And in the beginning, when the movie announcements were made, there were a lot of opinions on, will he be able to play this such a, absolutely, great personality on screen? Isn't he too young? And all of that conversation, right? And I think the validation that you're getting now itself is an answer to the previous speculations. And I remember you had very interestingly pointed out saying that, when you spoke to the people in the army and they were looking at the script, they had a very different opinion about how the casting should be done.
Captains and lieutenants are in their early to mid 20s.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows about the armed forces, anyone who spent time with the army, we have young soldiers in our country. So we tried to be authentic to that. That was the idea. As far as getting an opportunity like that as a young actor goes, it's a first. So obviously, because there is a certain image that one has of an army officer, because of the leading men we've seen over the years play them, they've usually received those kinds of opportunities in their 30s, late mid 30s, after establishing themselves as stars, and after doing years and years of work, building an equity. So I totally understand the first reaction. By virtue of the fact that we casted the film this way, shot the film this way, and had a different take on it, I think it's a new kind of film, and it's unique, and I think that's what people are responding to. We tried to be very thoughtful about representing the army in a correct way, and the two workshops that I had with the army, they were 7 days each. One was in Suratgarh in Rajasthan. That was where 45 was posted at the time. 45 Cavalry, by the way, is the regiment that we represent in the film.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm wearing 45 on my sleeve today.
Okay, is this on purpose, by the way, or is it just...
This is actually my costume from the film.
Oh, really?
So,
I love it.
It's been a very personal journey. It's been very special. We still are getting messages pouring in from the army that they feel represented, that it feels like the most authentic war film that has come out of the country. Yeah. And there is no bigger praise than that, for us. The fact that we had a screening in Delhi, the fact that halfway through the movie, everyone came up and said, this is exactly what we were like as youngsters, especially the part where you go chasing the girl and all that. They're wild, and we have a certain image of them, but there is so much to these incredible men and the ladies and the Fauji families, So the most wonderful thing has been getting that kind of love from them, and the fact that they feel like they can see themselves in this. It's just a joy to be able to do this, and I think it's, like I said, it's the first of its kind as a film. It is an out and out war film, but you see the coming of age of this character,
Yeah.
you see the involvement of a family in the war. And most importantly, I think it's a story that was just aching to be told.
Yeah.
You know, it's such an integral part of our history as a nation. You know,
Absolutely.
and probably one of the most awe-inspiring acts by an army. The fact that we helped liberate Bangladesh, left the next day, is probably unprecedented, and one can only imagine maybe it'll never happen again, because and it's something to be proud of. It's it's an act of our um, uh, bravado and courage and nobility, I would say.
100%. Agree with all of it that you said, because I watched the film and I thought you were incredible in it. What I loved really about all the characters in general, most army characters are, our officers are expected to lead a certain kind of perfect life, to be this gentleman that most of them are, but also be perfect at everything. What was so interesting about your character was that he was a mess, he liked being that mess. He liked figuring things out. He was in the beginning rebel without a cause, and then he gets his cause. And which is so interesting. You're always in our films as well, most, not all, the characters and the leading characters supposed to be so perfect, so good.
I mean, that's
not all,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Yeah.
our commercial movies are based on that.
No, I see what you're saying completely. I just think it's so much more interesting and compelling when you go through a journey with a character, right? And in many ways, the coming of age of Balram, as he says in the film, from Balli to Captain Balram Singh Mehta, it runs parallel to the coming of age of a nation, and I think that we leaned into that. We leaned into him being rebellious, him being, really, for the lack of a better word, a bit of a moron in the beginning, and making brash choices and cocky, and as you see that the weight of the responsibility hits him, and the reality of the war hits him, he realizes that this is not just it's not games, it's not a game that nobody wins, nobody comes out of a situation like that as a winner. And that arc, I thought, was very interesting, and it struck me the first time I heard it, and it is a rare character in that sense. So yeah, we did lean into that. We, especially as I look back on it now, after the film is out and getting that response from people, it wasn't so on the nose and expositional, the change in the character. It's quite internal, but the fact that everybody is picking up on it and asking about it and talking about it is quite heartening, because we did, Raja sir and I spoke about that a lot, and we did lean into it. So yeah.
The other character that I like when it comes to playing army men on screen is Ritik's from Laksh. And I feel that graph is there as well, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he wants to do, right? And he doesn't even know if he'll be a good officer, which is you.
No, I actually don't think so. I think there is a difference. The difference is that Laksh is a film about a character finding his calling through this. I feel like he already knew that it's his calling, but it's not given the opportunity and or not come into his own and not matured as a person.
Yeah.
He's not ready for that.
Sure.
And so there's even a line in the film where he says that एक ही तो मौका था कुछ कर दिखाने का and all that.
Yeah.
So
sure.
this is what he wants to do. He displays, I think, Balram displays leadership qualities from the beginning, where you see that despite the fact that he is brash and on the pretext of doing a stress test, he's going for a ride with this tank and pushing the limit and not obeying orders. He's disobedient, basically. Despite that, you see that he does know his stuff. He comes from, generations of army family.
Yeah, of course.
And that's Balram sir. His father was in the army, and his family. In fact, there were 5 siblings, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
That all participated in some way or the other. So yeah, but I see the similarity that you're pointing at, where you see a character.
The messy.
Yeah, where you see a character, completely take on this responsibility and step into the shoes, and so there is that arc. But characters,
Yeah,
starting point is different. I would
100%.
say, yeah.
Of course.
My references for performance were seeing the army guys,
Yeah.
and spending time with them, young
You
officers.
literally spend about a lot of time with them. It was amazing. And I think that shows. You are, can I call you a method actor? Because most people say that you are.
I mean, people have different interpretations of what that means. I think every actor has their method. I've not studied the method. I haven't formally trained as an actor.
Sure.
I did my preparation informally, so
Sure.
to say. I did a lot of workshops. I assisted on films. I did various other things. Performed in amateur theatre, this, that, the other. But I did not do, like a formal training acting course. So I would not go as far as to say that I'm a method actor. I have my ways. I like immersing myself in the work that I do. And that's the great joy of doing this job.
Sure.
You get to kind of detach from your own image and your own life and
Yeah.
live another for a while. And Raja sir actually is the kind of director that encourages that. So he encouraged us to go. He in fact told them when they asked him earlier from the army, that when they asked him when we were going to 45, they said that these are actors, we should go soft on them. And he said, no, I don't care if they make it back. I want soldiers. So I didn't actually know that till after we finished filming. But he did, he put quite a high stake on that training course. Yeah.
But you all came out with flying colors. All that is what matters, right, at the end of it. Very interesting, when you said that he feels the weight of responsibility from a family who's been there always.
Yeah.
I always thought when you said that there is that weight, but you've never taken it. Because you've had Shahid, in the beginning of your career also, you always said that, how do you look at the family dynamics and how have you learned from it and, does it affect you as an actor? I feel like you've managed to make your own space and also not get bothered. There was that weight in the beginning. In between, it does come up all the time, right? When you have someone like Shahid in the family and, your mother who are such prolific actors in themselves. How have you managed to really steer through all of that and still be who you are?
I think I said this early on. I think I've always knew that this is my passion, and if it weren't my passion, if I were doing it for any external reason, then maybe I would feel pressured and feel a weight of it. Having said that, of course, I feel like I want to live up to a certain standard, but that's a good thing. It's a healthy motivation.
It's a good thing,
It's not a
always.
negative motivation. It's a healthy motivation.
We spoke about jingoism and patriotism. We were just discussing off the camera about it, right?
Yeah.
There has always been this huge discussion about films that are about patriotism, about certain wars, period dramas that show the country in a certain light. What is the narrative of the film towards the end? Is it jingoistic? Towards the end, is it patriotic? And how do you define it? I want to understand your idea of it because Pippa, as a film, and it's obviously not jingoistic in any way. It tells a story, like we said, and I think a lot of people have resonated with that, saying that, there is no agenda that Pippa is trying to sell to the audience. It stays honest to its storytelling. How do you look at this conversation?
I actually think that's a wonderful compliment or criticism to come for the film.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the film, you tell me what you feel about it. Everybody,
Which is what I also feel.
Everybody who saw the trailer, I mean, the first few press junkets that we had,
Yeah.
everybody had this question. Felt rather hopeful and positive about the film before they saw it, saying
Yeah.
that, it's good to see a film that evokes a patriotic feeling or a proud feeling without
Forcing it on you.
or also without being demeaning or diminutive towards another country or community.
Absolutely.
And so that was the attempt, is just to tell the story factually. It was a dark chapter in history that, there was a genocide, no one can deny that. And we as a country decided not to stand by and watch. And I think it's one of the prouder chapters of our history in that sense, and which is why, I mean, the story itself is self-explanatory in that sense. And I think it's the definition of patriotism is an interesting conversation, and I'm glad that this in a way has sparked that conversation as well, because I feel that the most wonderful way to be patriotic is to love your country, and
Yeah.
that's that. you know, and I think this film does evoke that feeling.
100%. It does evoke it. There's a very interesting relationship and dynamics that you have with Mrunal in the film, right? And when I was talking about how imperfect your character is, there is a time when you acknowledge the fact that she is a very, very free-spirited, liberated woman who cannot be, when you say that Sherni hai and the lamb conversation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where you are obviously saying that she's a free-spirited woman, so you know she has to live her life the way, and I hope she gets some man who will only push her further
Yeah.
to be that person and not kind of bind her to something. And then towards the end, there is that one scene where you unknowingly, like a lot of men, I feel like that character itself also tries to control her life by trying to make a decision for her. I think it's such a learning moment about how men and women dynamics also are complicated, right, all the time, and it's an example of that. And I feel he learns from it, right? How do you look at that entire episode, and also in our real life? Because I think the idea of control, a lot of men, I think, believe that they are liberated and they're,
Liberal,
liberal, and they're also very, very progressive. But I think when you're put in a situation because of the patriarchal setup, you don't realize how you're caught up in it as well. I think that's a beautiful moment in the film. Could you explain that to me, how you looked at it?
That's a very interesting question, and I'm so glad you asked it. And there is that, again, coming back to seeing the change in a character, from somebody who is relatively more naive and more impulsive to someone who begins to understand the repercussions of his actions and his position and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Even the conversation about the refugees with Soni ji,
Yeah.
the first comment he makes is that, why should we even bother? It's not even our fight.
Absolutely.
And they've just come and parked themselves here, and we're having to deal with the pressure and the weight of that. And so you see the change in him as he realizes this particular aspect of it. I think is really lovely because you see that there is a very one-on-one, clear, uncomplicated relationship between the
two of them, yeah.
the two of them. But then at the same time, he is presumptuous enough to think that, because they can talk about these things, he can also
Make the decision for her.
he can also make the decision for her. And and it's a weak moment even for him.
Yeah.
It comes clearly after he gets, he gets dismissed from the war,
Yeah.
and he has to do a desk job at the headquarters. And so as a kind of an impulsive, response, he decides to go and, fight his sister's battle, as the mother says.
Yeah.
And this is this is a learning for all of us,
For
right?
all,
This, sometimes human behave in strange dichotomous ways, even though he's trying to empower her, at the same time he goes and he does something silly that is taking away agency
Yeah.
from her. So, coming back to that conversation about the character having his flaws and having his blemishes, and learning about them and being able to overcome them, that's what the film is. And I hope that in a way it shows a mirror to even young brothers of wonderful ladies out there who should give a second thought always, and truly allow agency, and
Yeah.
not allow, but double check always, like you
Yeah.
said, we do live in a world that in a sense has been for many years patriarchal, and I would even say chauvinistic in
Yeah.
that sense.
Yeah.
So sometimes you think you're doing something out of love, but it's not always required. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
it was
I
good.
think that's what's so beautiful and interesting about Mrunal's character in the film,
Yeah.
is that she plays her own part. She has a mind of her own, and she has such an important role to play in
Yeah,
the war.
100%.
She's in a sense pretty much the glue of the family, and because of she's a major catalyst in these two guys being able to make their journey the way they do. So,
100%. I thought it was a very beautiful scene, very well written as well. Very well performed, of course. moving from one imperfect character to another. Okay. I thought it was absolutely insane what you all did in phone booth. I don't, the sarcasm and everything. Of course, we will talk about how you look at failures and how it doesn't perform in a very different way. But I want to talk about the choice here. I felt like this was an attempt to say that I'm going to make sure that you don't know what's coming your way when it comes to me. Is that one of those decisions?
No, I mean, no decision should be taken from that standpoint.
Okay.
That I'll
Surprise you, isn't
Yeah.
that how it's supposed to be?
It's always wonderful if you're able to do something that surprises the audience, but that can't be the reason to take the decision.
Fair, of course.
Having said that, it was a film that I started doing 3-4 years ago. So it's been a while. I've been ever evolving. So from in retrospect, looking back on it, I think it was a deviation from the kind of films that I'd been doing.
Yeah.
It was the only out-and-out comedy that I've done. And it is meta. A lot of people said that, people had, that it's a different kind of film. We don't make stoner comedies, and it's pretty much that kind
Yeah.
of zone. And so, yeah, it was different. It was fun, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, if that's what you're saying.
I think we like to ask some fun questions. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. What is a misconception about yourself that people thought they know, but of course when they met you it turned out to be wrong?
My height. Yeah. It's on Wikipedia. It says, or Google, it says 5'8", and I'm 180 centimeters, so that makes me 5'11 plus. So I still struggle with this because even when I try and get it changed, they say 5'8" only. So I don't know why this is a, and ये वैसे भी होता है actors के साथ, that they normally look at you and sometimes they think कि अरे we thought you'll be taller, sometimes they think we thought you'll be shorter. So it's the way you're pictured in lensing, and that's a lot of technical jargon in films. But yeah, in general, this has been a common theme with me. Arey, you're decently tall, yeah. That I get that a lot.
Okay then.
Yeah.
How do you react to things like that? Thank you, like that, no?
Jo hoon so hoon.
Exactly. Okay, other two. A rumor about yourself that makes you laugh. Can be funny. She has to be like.
It should be. I mean, I remember my first film. The first time I saw a Farzia article about myself was that I had a cold war with Majid Majidi on the set of Beyond the Clouds, and I was like this around him. Like I was like, "Kya cold war, cold stares," and it's such an imaginative thing to write also, ना कि कोई बैठा है और अपने director को ऐसे cold और वो coldly देख रहा है.
That to Majid.
ये कब हुआ, किसके वहम में हुआ ये, और क्यों लिखा गया है, और कुछ बेहतर नहीं है आपके पास? ख्याली पुलाव पका के आपने उलट दिया, उल्टी कर दिया आपने उस पे. But anyway, so those are the kind of rumors one gets to hear about themselves.
It's actually quite funny because
Yeah.
the thought of it, because I've met the both of you at the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
I don't know where
you
it
were a
came
little intimidated. You kept saying also that have so much respect for him.
Respectful, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. A role of done by any other actor that you would have loved to do, and why?
I would love to do Aditya Kashyap from Jab We Met.
Oh yeah.
Because he's a walking, talking green flag, and he's such a wholesome character and such a quiet and intense and simmering character that again you see a beautiful change within him because of this beautiful relationship in his life.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lovely character. I would love to do something like that. Imtiaz sir, if you're cooking up anything like that, or anyone else, even any young filmmaker that is coming up with something, I would love to have a crack at it. Yeah.
100%. We need more green flags.
Yes.
Talking about that, what is the biggest red flag in a relationship that you spot usually?
Biggest red flag in a relationship? Not listening. Not listening, pushing your point over somebody else. But really, more than anything, not listening. Not really listening, you know. If you're looking at your phone and just like hearing the person, that's not it, you know.
That's actually a very good one. The strangest DM that you've ever received?
Strangest DM that I've... Too many. And I read them also. So a lot of DMs that I can't respond to all of them, possibly, but I read a lot of them. And there are a couple of people who have made me their diary, which I think is very sweet.
Very cute.
Like I get daily paragraphs, so some of the names now I recognize, like, acha, aaj iske din mein ye hua types. So yeah, and I get this, there is one, I don't know, there are a couple of guys and some people from foreign countries living totally different lives, send me long paragraphs about their politics and their way of thinking and what's going on in their city, and So it's strange sometimes. Of course, you get the thirsty messages and all that,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, what you want to hear.
No. Some people have sent some very shadi proposals and all of this. I was thinking you will tell in that direction.
Yeah.
Hai na? Like the thirsty devil. So one of the actors who told me was about that your feet are very nice. So I thought that was very funny.
Did I tell you that?
No. You also got it.
Yeah.
Some other actor told me that the strangest idea was I didn't know how to say thank you, but I'm like, are they nice really? So
Yeah.
You got
feet.
that as well?
Yeah.
There you go.
There are pages that are dedicated to feet.
What?
Yeah.
So you have a feet fan as well.
I don't know, man.
Very strange.
I don't know. I don't walk around barefoot that much, so I don't know where, how, but.
What has been Ishaan Khatter's fan moment?
My fan moment? And I'm not saying this out of any self pride or anything like that, but I genuinely don't get starstruck. The one time that I remember in my recent memory that I did was when I met Lee Twins, that are my dancing idols.
Of course.
This was years ago before I started as an actor, and they came to the set of a film to shoot a song, an Indian film, and I had to like rub my eyes. Like I was like, because I'd been following these guys for years, in a sense, idolized them, and I just love them. They're some of my favorite artists in the world. So seeing them in person was beautiful. Yeah.
I love that this answer hasn't changed for so many years. You
Yeah.
said this during Tharak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The celebrity that you really like. And you had said,
Same. Those guys.
See, Ishaan, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you said that, I also want to ask an
It's
Indian.
usually more with musicians and
Yeah.
dancers and things like that, because as an actor, when you're working with, I've worked with many incredible personalities that I have grown up admiring and idolizing. Most recently with the amazing Nicole Kidman and with Tabu and with so many of them. But when you're doing the work, it's like you're all there then you're working together. It's
Yeah.
different, at least so far it's not. If it happens, I'll let you know for sure.
Fair enough.
But-
But because you mentioned Nicole, I must say it's fantastic. Congratulations. We were very excited for you when the announcement came in. The Perfect Couple does sound like a project that we all are going to really be rooting for.
Hope so.
So give us some more interesting details about it. Jo de sakte ho. I know you can't tell everything.
I'm flying out to resume shoot for it. We shot most of it, and of course the WGA and SAG strike happened.
Yeah.
So we've been there's been a 5-6 month hiatus from shoot, and we're going to finish it now finally, and hopefully next year it'll be out for you to watch on Netflix. So looking forward to that as well.
Perfect. Okay, the last one is a female actor that you really, really want to collaborate on screen with. And
Alia.
why? Oh, I hope that happens. It'll
I
be
hope
fun.
so. Yeah.
On that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been really wonderful. Thank you for taking out time and sort of giving an insight about not just the actor who you are, the person who you are. And
Thank you.
I really admire the journey that you are on right now, and I'm expecting just the most crazy, crazy roles from you.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so
Thank
much.
you, and big love to everyone who's seen Pippa and given it love.
100%.
And if you haven't seen it, please check it out on Prime Video.